to give you a little context around this report and the work that we've been leading for the last 5 years to strengthen ed prep, I have to start with this paper and its context, like where it came from. Many of you probably remember it was around this same time that we had this merger of the two accreditors. And a part of that merger was also this movement to develop new standards for educator preparation programs. At that same time, there are these conversations about performance assessment, about, AFT's report around raising the bar, right? You had conversations and work aggressively happening in states that had started, years before, but was really ramping up around standards for student learning. So sort of in the context of all of that happening in education, higher standards for student learning, higher expectations of teachers and of prep programs that prepare teachers, the chiefs essentially decided that they actually had not been as active and as engaged as perhaps they should have been. And when I say the chiefs, I mean the chiefs and SEA leaders had not been as engaged and as actively involved in the support for growing this strong teacher workforce that we so desperately needed, and essentially identified these levers around program approval, licensure, and data systems to support a strong educator workforce on day one. So in 2012, Our Responsibility, Our Promise was released, and in 2013, NTEP launched, which was this network of 7 states, eventually climbing to 15 states. Essentially, the big point here is that over the course of 4 years, CCSSO and CEDAR worked really closely together to support these 15 states on strengthening ed prep, and strengthening ed prep by really focusing on those 3 levers in that pre-service space: program approval, licensure, data systems, all with a focus on ensuring a learner-ready teacher on day one, which when you get into the paper, you'll see that definition there. And so Our Responsibility, Our Promise, those policy levers, is really hoping to focus on one of those, and that's the data piece, right? The importance of ensuring that we've got the right data to inform program improvement, which ultimately leads to better prepared teachers and better outcomes for the kids that they're going to teach. In collaboration, or I should say in connection with Our Responsibility, Our Promise, CCSSO worked with the Cedar Center to also put out this sort of companion document called Promises to Keep. So I'm going to pitch it to Tim now.
Although the first paper came out from the Chief Task Force in CCSSO, this was through CCSSO and CEDAR working together closely in terms of the next step of making sure that we were also talking about, when we say all students, not to ever lose sight of the fact that we're also talking about students of disabilities and students with special needs. And there was a focus to that. And so what they did is they came out with a second paper called Promises to Keep that's directly connected to Our Responsibility, Our Promise, but with a little bit different bent to make sure that it was more overt about the issues of all students. They were to build on the current progress to transform teacher preparation and produce teachers and leaders who have the knowledge and skills necessary to meet the needs of the diverse range of learners, is what it talks about. And they came up with 5 recommendations, specifically urging the chief school state officers and partnership with IHEs and K-12 to accomplish these 5 particular pillars. One was beginning in the preparation stage to define and integrate across the educator career continuum, knowledge and skills of all educators. So we're looking at special ed educators along with regular ed in service and pre-service. But there was a focus on pre-service in number 1. Number 2, it was about providing multiple opportunities for deliberate practice and feedback to educators. Again, building on that notion of the importance of clinical practice experiences over the course of their preparation and even in service. The third pillar was about ensuring outcomes for all students as an integral part of the preparation program approval process and educator evaluation systems. The fourth one was creating an infrastructure that prepares candidates for enabling and promoting shared ownership, collaboration, and teamwork among all educators for all students. And the fifth one was holding educator preparation programs accountable, but also as a part of that, providing feedback and the continuous improvement notion. This paper also comes out strongly saying about how the stakeholders in each state, especially educator preparation providers, had to have strong partnerships with their state SEA leadership to be able to make this happen. And then through the rest of the document, they give suggestions, lessons learned, ideas of direction. It's a really comprehensive document in terms of a shift.